Hey Divas, welcome and welcome back. It's your girl Keisha here with another video. And today we're going to do something a little different and I'm going to show you what it's like when you fall off track. So if you like sinking funds, savings, challenges, cash stuffing, budgeting, planning, every and all things that have to do with your money, then don't move. All right, Divas, just like I said, today we're going to do some what I call back budgeting. I don't know if it's a real term, but that's exactly what we're doing. So what do I mean by that? That means that for some reason, I just got super busy. Life was lifing. I did not budget for the second week in May. So typically what happens when you're budgeting and you fall off track, you're just like, forget it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to start again next week. But we're not going to do that over here. We're going to back budget, which means I'm just going to fill in everything that took place during the second week in May. And then we're just going to move forward. I'm going to move forward. I'm not going to let this week go blank and then just skip to the third week in May. We're going to come back and we're going to back budget. And the reason I'm able to back budget is because even though I didn't set a budget up, I still was able to keep track of my transactions. And even if you are a budgeter and you've missed that step, go ahead, girl, go back, look at your debit card, look at your credit card, go back, write your transactions down or however you track your expenses and go back and budget, because your budget really is just telling you a story. And if you just move to the third week, you kind of don't really have a story to give you a big, a huge depiction of what your May looks like. So the first thing we're going to do is just go ahead and fill in some key stuff. So let me go ahead and do that. So my last week it ended on the 5th. So we're going to do the 6th through the 12th of May. And the reason I could just arbitrarily pick a number, if you're new here, I get paid once a month. So I'm able just to pick whatever day pretty much works for me. But if you get paid weekly, bi-monthly, obviously you use the pay period in which you're getting paid. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start with our income. And I'm just going to start with the rollover income. So when I closed out the first week in May, I was rolling over $6,179.08. So I'm going to do that. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to work with the budgeted column because I'm not projecting. I'm using actual numbers. Okay, so we're just going to do everything today for the most part in the actual column. Okay, so I also had some, I'm just going to put rollover. And I could just easily put 0 budgeted because we didn't budget, right? We didn't plan ahead. We are working we're working backwards. I also had some other income that came in this week, and I'm going to add that in. I'm just going to total it all up. Again, remember, guys, I use the highlighter system, so it's very easy for me to come in and see transactions as needed. So I got $3,026. That came in from my Amazon storefront. Then I got a reimbursement here. $8.52. What else? I got a little side income here, $71. I'm just putting a little check mark just to know that I accounted for it. And I got 1 penny of interest, girl. So we're going to count this penny interest. Okay. So in addition to my rollover, I earned $83 this week. $83.19 to be exact. I'm just going to put other. So let me go ahead and add that up. Okay, so for the second week of May, my income is $6,345.46. So next we're going to go to the bills. Okay, so even though I didn't budget, the bills were still billing. Okay, the bills were still being paid. Okay, so I'm just going to go down the line here and just write down my bills, not my variable expenses like my debt, any home bills, any things like that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to fill it in. And like I said, I'm going to put the actual column. I'm not going to put the budgeted because, again, I didn't plan for it. So we're just going to focus on what we got. Okay, so I've written in all my bills that took place between the 6th and 12th. Now I'm just going to add everything up and see exactly how much we spent. Okay, so for the second week of May, I spent $888.13 on my bills. And let me just figure out how much that leaves me. Okay, that leaves me with $5,457.33. So now we're going to move down. I didn't do any cash stuffing or anything this week. So that's 0. So we're just going to keep moving this balance down. Okay, now we come over to our variable expenses. So for allowance this week, I didn't take out any cash. This was supposed to week that this was supposed to be the week my husband and I were traveling to Las Vegas. Girl, that's a whole story. I'm gonna put a vlog up and show you how that trip just went downhill before it even started. So I don't have any allowance. And then remember I told you the last time that I give my husband his allowance for the month. So I didn't take any allowance. I didn't get the kids no allowance. So nothing was done. But I did spend some variable expenses. So we're gonna go back here. And I'm gonna write down and then I'll explain to you what I spent my money on this week. So I'm gonna fill this in and then I'll be right back. Okay, so first thing as I was filling this in, I'm just gonna move this balance over. Okay, remember this is my actual, not budgeted. So I'm gonna erase this. Sorry if the camera shakes. I'm over here on my other desk. So, okay. So everything we have over here. Now, the only reason I put, for the groceries, I put $376 because if you remember last week, I kept $376 as rollover in my grocery envelope. So I just wanted to know that I actually did budget for that because that's supposed to last me throughout the rest of the month. But I spent $39.39, so it's essentially $40. So when I do my setup for week number 3, you'll see the difference out of that, okay? I wanted to make sure that was in there. But everything else, gas, we spent a lot of gas this week because it goes back to my ridiculous situation I had with me traveling to Las Vegas. My kids, I spent $123. Eating out was $50. Again, this is the second week that I was high, but this too, I'm gonna blame on my trip. Beauty, $7. Auto, if you remember from my monthly setup, I had maintenance here at $50 because we needed some new windshield wipers. So that was that purchase. So $53.47. We did do some shopping, $133.55. Household, $1.34. Coffee, $15, which is over that I typically spend, but girl, these kids, all right? And then travel. This is for my spring break travel, not even my Las Vegas travel. And I'm gonna grab that book, hold on. So if you haven't ever seen this before, this is my travel budget planner that I created. You can find it on Amazon, Etsy, or my TikTok shop. And I budget for every single trip that I've taken since I've had this book, okay? Every single trip. I even budgeted for this Vegas trip that I didn't go on, but I didn't know that I wasn't going on it. Anyway, nonetheless, so we went to Orlando in April for spring break. I believe I shared that with you guys, right? I don't know if I ever showed you the breakout, but even if I'm not recording, your girl's budgeting. I do this in real life. But so we drove there, and the thing with driving is there's no one there to take the tolls. So they just go through and they'll send you the bill later. So we received the bill. So it was $11.74. So we received the bill for the tolls. Okay. And the only reason I'm coming back to write in here is because I want this to be as accurate so I can look back and see, you know, exactly what I spent on this trip. So I'm just going to go ahead and update this number real quick. Okay, the reason why it was important for me to update this tracker because like I've been budgeting for my fall vacation and I'm using this trip as a reference because we're driving the same distance. So you see I spent $141 on gas. Obviously I know gas prices fluctuate, but at least this past trip was showing me just about how much I spent on gas. And now that we got the bill, I know, okay, for tolls, we're going to spend about $12 going and coming. So I tried to keep these, like just like any budget I do, as accurate as possible. So I wanted to come back here and show that. And again, I didn't release this video because I was going to release it this weekend when I was traveling, but your girl didn't travel. I did have expenses. This is another video. I'm not even going to get into that, but I did have expenses here, and I'm not including it in this yet because your girls owe some refunds. So we'll save that story for another time. Back to the story at hand here. So this is where we are. And again, this was the bill that came. So I want you to add that in there to cover that expense. So all in all, for my variable expenses for the week, the 6th through the 12th, we spent $541.20, and we minus that from our actual balance, we have $4,916.13. Okay, so I didn't do any sinking funds or savings challenges or anything this week. So we're gonna bring this total all the way down here to leftover. And we didn't do anything additional, girl. I ain't paid no additional debt. I ain't do anything. So I'm going to give me a strong 0. Well, let me take that back. So this 49.16, we're going to roll it over, girl. We're going to roll this over to the 3rd week. Okay, so we're rolling over this actual amount. Okay, so we're just going to bring that down. And that means we have $0 left over. So we have a 0 base budget. So that's how I back budget. So again, I didn't put any numbers that are not real. These are all actual numbers. That's how I back budget. So at least now I have consistency. That's the word I was looking for. I have some consistency, okay? So if I want to come back, I can come back and fill in the dates, but I feel like doing all of that. I know these came out during that week, all right? So the last thing here, I'm just going to go ahead and close the week out again because everything already hit. So we're just going to close the week out, and then we'll be done with week 2, and we can start anew for week 3. All right. So I'm going to go in, fill all this stuff in, girl, and we'll be good to go. One thing for the income. So my $6,345.46, I'm not going to put that down as my entire income for week 2 because I didn't earn that. I'm just rolling over this balance. But the income of $83.19, that I will put because that's new money. All right. So we're only going to put in what actually came in up here. Because that way at the end of the month, I can put a total of all the money I earned. So I'm not going to roll that income all the way over. Just like my groceries, I'm not going to put $376. I'm going to put what I actually spent, which was $39. Okay, so I'm going to fill in the rest. I'm going to come back. We're going to close it out. And it's going to be a wrap, girl. Okay, so we are done. I filled in everything that I spent for week 2. And I did have to make one correction. I did buy a gift card. My kids went to a birthday party, so I spent $25 on that. So I just went ahead and readjusted the numbers. So everything was reduced by $25. And I made sure I accounted for that in my gifts category for $25. So all in all, for the 2nd week of May, we spent $1,452.31. Isn't bad. And yeah, so we're going to keep going. So for the 3rd week of May, I'm expected to bring in a little bit more income, and I'll be working with the $4,891. So Diva, if you get railroaded, if you get off track and you don't get to budget, come back and back budget. Don't do all this work. Like we planned the whole month. I could have easily just stopped and said forget about it, but I'm like, I gotta be consistent. And that's another reason why I have this challenge, girl, this channel is for me to show you a system that is proven, even if it's not proven by me, is proven by many. And 2, for you guys to hold me accountable as well. So week 2 is in the books. We're going to work on week 3. And if you stay to the end and you haven't done so, I would love for you to subscribe. If you enjoyed today's video, give me a thumbs up and let me know when you fall off track, what do you do? I hope you get back on it. So like always, I'll see you in the next one. Later.